Hi, guys, and welcome back to episode number 41 of the Couch on Ice podcast. Before we get into all the stuff we missed last week a little bit and some new stuff coming on this week, I'm going to introduce the boys. Let's throw over to Jordan. How's it going today, Jordan?
Oh, not too bad. It's a bit windy here, though. It's a bit, chilly.
Yeah, it's been super hot here, but nothing like it was in Ontario. Oh my god, boys.
Yeah.
It felt like I was in Hawaii there. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe I was still in Canada.
Loving this week then, because I think there's supposed to be snow on the weekend.
Oh, get diamond cutters all week. How cold it is, but so be it. It means hockey season. Can't complain. But Chase, how is it going over there?
Oh, not too shabby. Living the life, How you doing?
Good. Just catching up on some puck. Went and saw Venom 2 yesterday. They actually let me in this time.
How was it?
Not bad. I like all Marvel stuff, so I can't complain at all when anything. The post-credit scene is fucking nuts. Like, I would go see it for the post-credit scene, which is crazy.
How was Woody Harrelson as Carnage?
He was good. He looked a lot younger. It was weird. Like, he must have been like gassing himself with weed and that thing, because he looked so young. I think the movie was a little too short and would have been better to give a longer Carnage story, because it felt like he was Carnage for like literally 12 hours
right
in lifetime. So like, that's annoying. It would have done way better to set him up for a different one, but he was very good in it for the short, and everything's kind of being forced in it seems, but it was still very good. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch it whenever I'm able to.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said,
first one was really good.
This one was a lot funnier. I'll say that. Yeah. This one's way funnier.
I had a feeling the relationship between Eddie and
Venom
would be quite funny.
It is. It's hilarious. There's a couple moments that we laughed pretty hard in. So, but no, let's jump into some puck. I'm just gonna kick it off with Montreal. Let's talk about them quick. The only news we didn't talk about last week, they claimed Adam Brooks off of waivers from the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're starting off the past couple days. They've lost 2 games in a row. They are still yet to win. How are you guys feeling about Montreal this season? Because I'm seeing a lot of negative. Do you think they're able to turn it around? Do you guys have any faith in this team to do well?
I do have a lot of faith in this team. I just don't think they'll do it. I don't know why. I do have blind faith in like all of these guys. I think they can pull this off. I just don't see I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Faith in how? Like, what is a good season to you for Montreal? Like, what is a successful... Okay, maybe not necessarily successful, but what would you say is like, yep, that is exactly where you should be season? In this division, are we saying like, are they below Ottawa now? Like, are Ottawa better than Montreal?
Yeah,
and that's just where it sits. I wonder that.
So.
I wouldn't. Maybe right at this moment, but I don't know. Carey Price is still to come back. That's how I feel, right?
It's regular season Price. It's just not great anymore, is my thought. I don't want to shit on Montreal too much, but I feel like they're going to be the Dallas Stars of last year, where they're going to lose a lot of games they probably shouldn't because of injuries and all these guys missing and
nobody
just
being really fully healthy.
And I don't know, like, you actually look at this team and it's a bunch of like different puzzle pieces trying to make one. A lot of it, like, it doesn't make sense right now.
It's an insane excess of left wingers and stuff like that.
Okay, look at their team from like 3 years ago even, and their whole offense, other than Brendan Gallagher, pretty much is different. Like, Lehkonen was in the system and such, but there's, I'm pretty sure, 3 guys that were here 2 or 3 years ago on this offense. That's a big turnover, and I don't No.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good individual players, but I don't think
Burger Man trying to make it happen. Hey.
Yeah.
That's just been him trying to get as many pieces as he can. Exactly.
Well, and trying to get a contract nice too. He's still looking for a contract that doesn't look like it's going to be signed.
No doubt. Yeah, like I can't be too scared. Like I said from the start, I don't love the defense, and that's why they're not gonna make it too far. But I don't know.
They don't score enough as well.
I think they should be happy if they get 5th in this division and are like a few points to 5 points, 6 points out of like a playoff spot.
I would say that's a good season. I'd say that's expected. I'd say. I just wonder. I feel like I have a bad feeling they're gonna drop to like 6th and be like a bottom 10 team. I don't have faith in this team whatsoever. I think other teams look better, and if not better, they look more organized. And I think they're just so far behind Montreal right now, and the way they're playing. There's a couple teams out there like that. Like I think Chicago is really struggling with these new moves, and their defense is very bad. We'll get into them in a bit, but. Like, there's a couple teams out there. Arizona looks so bad. I like expectedly. We know they're not supposed to be good, but they look like
they've got Louis Eriksson.
Man, they look. Buffalo was skating circles around them. Yeah, Andrew Ladd scored from the last game. Like, I don't know. It's just the Montreal Canadiens are in that team of like 5 teams that you're like, oh, this team just doesn't work. To me,
you know what I will say though. Jonathan Drouin looks very good, though.
He does look a lot better. I'm happy to see that. Like, but that's what I mean.
I think the big issue is lines.
It's the individual players are they're good. They're very good. If you ISO cam a lot of their guys are like, this player's doing the right thing and this, but they just don't put it together.
Yeah, it's the team play, right?
Yeah, like, they're really not.
They make good defensive plays, but like on the most, they don't.
Yeah, they just, and like Chase said, their defense just is kind of scary. Like Ben Sherratt is not as great as he is with Weber.
He's a shutdown guy, and that's about it.
He is a shutdown guy, and like he's all right at that.
Yeah,
but
a real
with
good
Weber,
compliment guy to a good player.
He's like I hate to bring it to the Leafs right away, but like Hall is to Muzzin. Like they fit well. Hall is probably not an NHL defenseman without Jake Muzzin. The way they play together, right? No, Brian, and a higher level of that. Sorry to interrupt. No, Dumoulin and Letang. Like Dumoulin is elite when he plays with Letang. I guarantee you, take him out, he doesn't look as good. He looks like a NHL D-man.
And I definitely can understand that because I know in all sports, especially when it comes to a defensive partner, the communication and the understanding and simply even just knowing where they'll be at what time is huge.
Oh, right? Big time.
Because it gives you either the faith to go up or if you feel like you need to draw back and cover, like whatever, you kind of already know where your teammate's going to be. Just the chemistry, right?
Yeah, and they don't have any is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no,
so I just don't. I think this team is going to really struggle this year. But we can move on from them unless you guys got anything else to note on Montreal.
I think your take about them being like Dallas is spot on.
Yeah. Next team, we talked about them already. Let's talk about the Chicago Blackhawks. So they are struggling, probably even worse than Montreal, I would say. They are so talented offensively. So good offensively. But they do not have a defensive core. Like, I thought Seth Jones might help this a little bit, but they look just as bad as last year. Chase, what's going on with the Blackhawks?
Oh, exactly what I said in my team previews is going on. These guys are going to get together, and it's going to be a rough, rocky road off the bat because you don't know who each other are, and you guys have played a lot together. You're coming off of a season where you had like one of the worst defenses in the league, so you're not just bouncing back off of that off the bat.
With Jake
like
McCabe
I said,
and Seth
the reason
Jones.
they're missing the playoffs this year is because it's going to be a rough, rocky road off the bat, and you're not going to be able to catch back up. That's exactly what I see right now. I'm not worried about it or anything. Like if this defense, you gotta wait for like a month or two to see how the team actually responds to being shitty or whatever goes on. Hey, so yes, very concerned. I do not, like everybody else right now, don't have very high hopes for them making the playoffs all of a sudden.
Yeah,
but
everyone was really high on them, and I kept waiting. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like a lot of these Chicago players, and like on paper, they're probably better than a lot of teams.
Fantastic.
They're outstanding on paper, but you gotta play the games, and they hadn't yet together. So, like the difference with with other teams like Florida, like there was big worry about them, but we had seen a little bit of why it was successful. We hadn't in Chicago yet, and it's another one of those chemistry things I bring up. Jordan.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sorry,
no, I think for me, if I'm the front office, the first thing I'm doing is firing Colleton. I simply think the biggest problem for Chicago is their coaching staff. I think they have one of the worst coaching staffs in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not super sold. I liked him off the bat just to like see what he could do and really just to kind of give the guy a chance and like
whatsoever. I think his fun.
Yeah, no, I do agree with
agree.
That. Like, I'm just like, wow, I don't know if this is worth it anymore. Hey.
Yeah, they should definitely be out there looking for someone better.
Yeah, like I
wonder who.
Chill out for a couple.
What if they got Torts? What if they got Tortorella? Here's a thought: they have such a good offense, and I get he likes to play a shutdown role, but if he does, he's gonna force his defense to play better. It will play better. The offense will come. You have Patrick Kane, you have DeBrincat, you have Kirby Dach, you have Jonathan Toews. Like, they're good enough players that under a defensive system they can still create. Why is Tortorella not a first on their list potentially? He's a winner.
I wonder how good would a guy like Kirby Dach do in a defensive system. Like, I think he could actually do decent.
Oh, he's big enough for it.
He's massive and he's strong.
He doesn't play his size at times. I've noticed.
I think he's just adjusting to the NHL still.
He's got a long way to go to be.
He needs to
be a strong guy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I'm not saying like he should be small or should be strong already. Like, he's, what is he, 20? Pretty sure he's our age, Jordan, like 20, 21. I get it's gonna take him time to build up that muscle for sure, but he doesn't play his size yet. And get a coach in there to show him how to play with his size. Like, he could turn Kirby Dach into one of the best two-ways in the league, based on how he is
to watch in front of him. That's
exactly.
Not too bad to learn from.
So I don't know. That's my first thought. Yeah, I agree with the coaching staff. And just to reiterate, I keep saying this offense is good. So offense is very talented. They can score very easily. They can't keep the puck out of their net very easily at all. They panic with each other, and I know it's early. It's super early. There's still a lot of time. Like Chase said, they're going to be behind the 8 ball before.
Yeah, just give them a month or two. I'm sure they'll make a decision like that.
Yep.
Like a coaching decision in a couple months or something like that, just to see if anybody bounces back, how people react, and all that sort of crap. But yeah, thinking about it now, I would say him, and I wonder if he's on the hot seat. I wonder how much they like him, like compared to Sutter from Calgary or whatever.
Wow. I mean, I'm not a Sutter fan in general, but I mean, it's tough. I don't know who's in the hot seat the most. It seems like it could be him. I don't know. I really don't know.
He's been there for quite a while now, so like,
yeah,
it's kind of like, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you.
What do you do? I wonder if they give him a full year this year just to see what's up, because like, they are acting like they're going for it, but we all know, and they all know, like, we're not like actually super duper going for it.
Yeah, they're not ready yet.
We're not just gonna risk absolutely everything just because we were able to get Fleury for free, sort of thing. So
absolutely.
You gotta wonder if Stanner is gonna play the patience game here for a year and make a decision in the off season or something like that on this type of stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Or if he's gonna.
We'll just have to wait and see with Chicago. They're still young. They're still finishing building.
But I do like the idea of bringing in like a Torts or somebody that's got, gotta crack the whip and see what you guys can do at least for 1 year here while you got a bunch of guys. But yeah, it's just gonna be tough to get everything going, make this team into a well-oiled machine. Like I said, you're just so terrible defensively last year. Your best D-man was Boquist, basically,
and
like
just as bad now.
Murphy, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. Moving. Or do you guys want to move on to the Storm stuff, or do you want to do that after? After we talk about the teams, because we can just throw it in right now. We're talking about Chicago.
Yeah, let's throw it in.
Let's talk about it now. Word out, Dylan Strome is looking like he's moving from Chicago. Chicago says they have too many centermen to fit him in. This one kind of caught everyone off guard. There's apparently tons of interest in him throughout the league. So we thought it'd be fun to do a couple mock trades for it. Jordan, I'm going to start it with you. What mock trade did you come up with for Dylan Strome and the Blackhawks?
You know, I had an interesting one. What about a Strome for Strome trade? And then they move Ryan Strome to the wing.
I mean, that's not I don't hate it. My thought process with it is they can't fit Dylan Strome on the wing. Do they even have a forward spot?
Dylan Strome isn't good on the wing, right? Especially on the right, where we know Ryan Strome can play.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just trying to see if there's any opening for him on that spot. It's not a bad trade whatsoever.
To me, it seems like they're not gonna. I don't know if they're getting a player back out of this exactly, and if it is, I feel it's a prospect. Like, I don't know what Chicago's looking for exactly. Like, do they? Because like they're kind of crowded in the forward aspect.
Yeah, that's
and
what
they're
I'm
decently crowded defensively at like for guys they want to play. You know.
Yeah.
Guys they've been talking about and
they got a lot of
who's earned their spots. So it's kind of hard to say, but it wouldn't be the worst idea, I guess, if you could pull something off like that. But you'd be paying a little bit extra to get Ryan Strome.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Which, yeah, I guess you could give up one of your random dudes, give up Strome and one of these other forwards you got or something.
At the Rangers and thinking, why would they want to step back at all? Because that is probably a step back, Ryan Strome to Dylan.
Yeah, but you could go ahead and get like a Hurdle or something like that, or I don't know. I think it's not a bad idea for the Rangers to do a small little sort of step backish thing right now, just with all the money they got to hand out next year, and you just. I don't know. I think it's going to be very difficult to fix that second line center situation unless Ryan Strome doesn't want very much money.
Yeah, that'll be the test of all. It depends on the situations too for both these teams. Like, if it were to happen right now, I'd be a little baffled. But like, if things go pan the right way, Chicago's like looking up. Let's say they're doing better and they just need that extra depth winger, and Strome's not doing it, and the Rangers are out of a playoff spot and looking just to get something back of value for Ryan. Like, yeah, I can see that for sure. It's really situational for me with that trade.
Yeah, I wonder, like, it could be a three-way trade-ish with, like, to get Hurdle in or somebody like that, hey, and Strome ends up going to San Jose or something like that.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Throwing like, something in like that.
In all reality, it wouldn't be bad for Chicago to grab like a Ryan Strome because he can really help the second line power play or something like that.
True.
Or even first line power play, just with his. Well, that guy gets mad points on the power play, but he is playing with Fox and Panarin and Zibanejad, so. But it'll be the same sort of situation in Chicago.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, I like the idea of it, but like, how do you make it? I don't know. I guess it's all right in all reality. Like, they're gonna be, like I said, they got to do a changing of the guard in a sense with Rangerland, or you're trying to keep Strome. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's not a bad idea to bite the bullet and kind of do a downgrade on center because You still got a little bit of time. You got a lot of young guys. You already have Kravtsov who wants out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Gotta give these young guys a little bit of time. So
yeah,
I wouldn't. But anyways,
Chase, you want to say yours? What do you got for
us? Well, I gave Dylan Strome to Minnesota for Adam Beckman and a 5th round pick. So they basically have the room technically to do it. So, just gave Minnesota that extra little kick on center, so they don't have to rely on Rask.
Yeah,
a whole bunch or whatever.
I love it on Minnesota's side. Wonder if is Beckman enough? Like, how good is Beckman? Like, I know he had a really good preseason. He did have a good preseason. He's 23, I believe.
Mm-hmm. He's a decent
center
prospect.
Center/wing.
I think he's a wing, more of a winger, but he's got a good goal scoring ability.
Oh yeah, he's a left winger. So he's 20. Okay, that's a lot better.
Yeah, no, he's pretty young. So I think there's a lot of promise. A lot of people like him.
He's from Saskatoon.
And he's from Saskatoon. Exactly.
This guy's fucking awesome. But 3rd round pick.
So he's got a decent scoring potential and stuff like that.
I wonder if you got to chip in a 3rd or a 4th instead.
I gave him a 5th and
a 5th.
Yeah, I feel like Beckman's more than a 3rd round pick.
I agree.
That's kind of what I
think it's more of a 2nd round pick. But that's why you add in the 3rd to cover, because Dylan Strome was a 1st round pick. He's technically an NHL center. He has games. He has scored. I don't know what to make of Dylan Strome.
He's like a 2nd and 4th round pick is what I heard is kind of what we're looking at.
Sure it's
okay, then yeah.
Center would give a gamble on him, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like Minnesota.
He's at least that worth it. At least enough for a gamble.
So that's why I think they actually might give up a 3rd with it. Instead of a 5th. If you're saying, because Beckman's probably, if you're saying he's worth a 2nd and a 4th, well, that's just.
No, I'm saying Beckman's definitely worth. I would say he's worth more of a 2nd round pick than the 3rd round pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, for sure.
That's why I'm throwing in the 5th. I don't know. I don't want to.
I think you throw in the 3rd.
Can you give him a 4th, maybe? I don't know. I would too high on the way that's.
I'm saying Beckman and the 3rd for Strome potentially. Because you're Minnesota and need a center. That's why.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get more because other people will probably offer a little bit more in certain situations or whatever. So
that's where I'm thinking. But you're right along the line. I would love to see him in Minnesota jersey. I think that there's that seems to fit, and I have another one that I like a lot better.
Yeah, and I do like Beckman going to Chicago, getting a little bit of extra possible scoring touch to the team later in the future, which
for sure
is never a bad idea. I don't know very many guys in their prospect pool that are dynamite scorers or anything.
I don't think they really have any right now because Alex Nylander's kind of a dud. He didn't really turn out. But no, I've got a similar thought process of a trade, but mine is to help Chicago with their defense because they need it. I sent Dylan Strome to the Columbus Blue Jackets for let me get his first name because I can't remember it. Vladislav Gavrikov. 25-year-old left-handed shot D, more defensive minded.
I think Columbus would be a great market for him.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe he can play first, second line center. They're playing Cole Sillinger, and I like Cole Sillinger. I think he's gonna be really good in the NHL. He's 18. And he was, a 12th overall pick or something like that?
Yeah,
12th overall. He was 12th overall this past draft. He's not ready to play in the NHL. He looks good. I'll give him that. Don't burn a year out of Cole Sillinger yet. Go get Dylan Strome. I know they're giving him Gavrikov, but it gives Jake Bean more minutes. It gives him top 4 minutes, which is you kind of want. You're not going to be good anyways, so if your defense takes a little more of a hit, you can play some younger guys potentially, is what my thought process through it. And like Jordan just said, you could definitely use that center help on Columbus. Back onto Chicago. We just talked about it for a good couple of minutes. They need help on defense in a bad way. And Gavrikov, defensive-minded defenseman, He's very solid if you can partner him up with on like the second line potentially. Or maybe even with Seth Jones. I don't know if they played together in Columbus at all, but if they did and played well, then why not try that? And might just give them a little extra help. And they're doing fine offensively with Strome now, so I don't feel like they need a forward back. But that's... I had another one, too, that I did. I did Strome for Soucy with the Seattle Kraken. I thought of it as potentially he could be the William Karlsson, like young guy given a chance first line center for a new franchise to light it up. And then Soucy being very consistent, but I don't know. I think Soucy's worth more than Strome, so that was just kind of one I was fiddling around with.
Yeah, I could do my classic go to Calgary or Minnesota, these random centermen, like I have been for the last 3 months.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I don't think there's anything you can make it work in that world. So, no, I like that. The old Columbonis.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Domi there,
Yeah, that's another story. Like, I don't even know what his value is in the NHL. Like, does he have a value? Would anyone
do
take
like
him
a
for
swap
free?
with that, or what? Like, can
like
you do a Domi Strome swap or something?
Straight up? No.
Yeah, like Columbus doing some
Probably
retaining
not.
or whatever.
No, because Strome...
No, I'm not saying straight up. I'm just saying those two involved in a trade.
Well, my issue with this,
would be interested
Domi wants to play center.
Mm-hmm.
He's not playing center if Dylan Strome isn't for Chicago, right? Like, why would you make that move? Unless you think he can play with in between Kane and DeBrincat, and which I think that line is far too small if he did. So I don't know.
Well, I guess I don't know if these guys want to play center on the worst teams in the league. I guess they can do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a decent way to get stock built up if you can go to a better team, or you never know. And it's for money. A lot of these guys, you can earn a lot of money on a bad market, making $5 million as a first line center there, rather than $3 million as a third line in a good team. So I get it. Let's move on to the next team, the Colorado Avalanche. They have gone 1-1 in the past. They've had 1 loss, 1 win. Another bad news out of Colorado. Nathan MacKinnon tests positive again for COVID. While he's been waiting. He's asymptomatic and all that, but that does mean he's going to miss probably another week at least until he gets more negative tests, which really sucks for Colorado. And Gabriel Landeskog was suspended 2 games for his hit on Kirby Dach. We talked about this a little bit the other day, how that hit was pretty bad, and I think he could have gotten a suspension. Well, he actually did. No penalty. It was a 2-minute penalty on the play. What are you guys' thoughts on the Landeskog suspension for hit on Dach?
Definitely well deserved, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Dach on his knees sliding, and he just boards him like 2 feet away, hits him into the boards. Not the best play. I understood like why it happened, but it shouldn't happen. So, do you guys have any other thoughts on the Colorado Avalanche other than they're just flat out amazing? Except the Blues picked them apart the other night, but
yeah. No, they're not flat out amazing. There you
go. They're gonna be great all year. I wouldn't be too worried about them. I got nothing much to say. Let's move on to a team another worried team, the Philadelphia Flyers, who lost in a shootout to the Vancouver Canucks this week. But Carter Hart letting in probably 3 goals that are you don't like to see your goalie let in, that's for sure. And Philly banking on him having a bounce back season. Not looking strong off of start of the season. What are you guys' thoughts on the Flyers and Carter Hart specifically? Jordan, I'll throw it to you first.
I mean, maybe the curse is wrong.
Yeah. That's what it's seeming like that. How are you feeling about Carter Hart this year? Are you still confident he can bounce back even after his first 2 games?
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
Poor.
I think he just needs 1 good game, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it is 2 games. We are jumping the gun, but we gotta talk about what we've already seen.
It's nothing crazy. Like, obviously, the start of the year always looks bad for goalies, man. Like, they get way more goals in the first, like, 20 games or 10 games than any other point. So, like, True. I don't know. I'm not at all worried about it. I thought he looked pretty good. It's just, yeah, they're gonna score goals off the bat. Like, nobody's ready seemingly for this season.
Absolutely.
In a sense, but like, that's just how it goes in my eyes. I'm not really too worried about him bouncing back. I think he'll be good. I think the team's more the demise than he is.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, then let's change the question. At what point should we be worried about the Flyers this season? If this trend continues, how many games before we can hit the panic button? Flyers.
I mean, depending on how bad, I'd say like 15.
Let's say if they were below 500 for like at least below 500 for X amount of games. What would you say? Is it 20 games where you're like, oh shit, like
I'd say like between 15
we're
and 20.
9 and 11, or we're like 8 and 12. Is that when you worry at 20?
Around there, yeah, for sure.
I really wouldn't probably.
No? So what's your number to be worried about?
I'd probably be more worried at the halfway through the season if they're like a decent chunk below 500. That's when I'd be worried.
Interesting. I would personally say around 25 games, because this Metro is hell, and the other teams aren't going to slow down that much. And if they do, might be the odd game. I'm counting a lot of teams in the Metro to be above 500, not necessarily comfortably and like dominating the league, but definitely around that 10 to 18 in the league spot. Most of these Metro teams, like at least probably 5, being Pittsburgh, Washington. I want to say the Islanders, so Islanders, Carolina, and then either the Rangers or Flyers. I expect them to be very good. So if one of them is below 500 by the first 25 games, I'd be very worried for that team in the Metro. Especially when there's so many trying to make playoffs, being 6 teams actively trying. But anything else on Philly do you guys want to add, or can I move forward?
Go ahead.
Okay. Moving on to the newest team in the NHL, the Seattle Kraken. Last week, forgot to bring up, they claimed Bear-Boulet off waivers from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was very shocked to see him be put on waivers by Tampa. What are your guys' first thoughts on the claim before I get into how they started their season?
Anyone who claimed him was winning, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I think he's still got a lot of talent and can play well. I was expecting him to have a breakout year, and with Tampa as a third line center, get a bigger role.
They definitely could use him.
Yeah, there's all the opportunity in the world, but Chase, did you have by any chance watch any Tampa preseason games with Bear-Boulet this year? Because I know I didn't.
No, I just watched him play with Seattle there. I think I've seen him a little bit in preseason, but it wasn't much at all. But yeah, no, I saw him play in that Seattle game. Looked good, got an assist and everything. Made a quick play. It'll actually probably be pretty helpful for those guys, honestly.
That's awesome to hear. So it's nice to see that it's working out. And piggybacking off of that, how about the Seattle team as a whole, Chase? Break down this team for us. How good or average is it, would you say?
Average is actually not a terrible way to put it, because average is obviously good in this league. But
absolutely.
Let me just pull up what they got for their lineups right now. So far, I am liking how things are going. McCann looks very fine. He's center,
he looks
Wenberg.
Awesome.
McCann and Tanev have combined for 5 of 8 of the Kraken goals.
Yeah.
Hey.
Man, told you these guys are good. They were amazing for Pittsburgh last year. We lost both of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's so rough. It's so rough. But yeah, it's almost seamless for, like I said, with Schwartz and Eberle and these wingers and Tanev, like Donskoy and stuff like that. Like, they make their centermen's lives so much easier, and we're really
like
seeing
Vegas.
It pay off. Honestly, yeah, man.
It's that Vegas mindset. You play with your wingers and strong defense.
Yeah, you simply have to, and teams that don't do it are wrong unless you have, Crosby or somebody who's just like way too good
Columbus,
at center.
Minnesota, take notes. Columbus, Minnesota, take notes.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, but no, like once again, it's their depth is not nearly as sweet as I feel the Vegas was.
Yeah.
But it's mainly just because of the small injuries right now. Like they literally have Yarncroke, Blackwell, and even I guess Marcus Johansson out.
Yanni
Gord
still
isn't
out right
playing.
now.
So when we look at the fourth line of Bastion, Sheahan, and Appleton, which has been doing quite well actually, like that's not even a line, and once these guys come back, so pushing that Tanev, Geeky, and like Donato down to like the fourth line, or I guess Donato will probably stay in the top 9, but that Geeky's looking so awesome.
Yeah,
I love how he plays.
Like
he's fast.
He looks like he could be a steal. He looks like he could have been amazing for Colorado.
I loved how he played with Carolina.
Yeah,
like it was.
Me too.
He was. Yeah, it's just awesome. But anyways, like I said, even the last episode, their defense is just taking a wee bit off the bat to kind of get like comfortable. They looked a lot better the last couple of games here. So I do like this team, but it's technically very average.
Yeah.
So like you're going mid pack. You're not getting first in your division here, but you can definitely push for a top 3 spot. I really do believe that. But the way they're playing right now, I don't see why with the people coming back that they can like. It's never going to be easy to beat this team at all. Grubauer looks fine. Like it's really actually looking a little bit better than I thought it was going to look, especially after everybody was not going to be at that game possibly the first game, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. Just start turning the pod for Seattle here and get bad news going or something,
Yeah.
But no, everything really kind of swung around. I'm starting to really enjoy these guys, and looking forward to them playing certain teams.
One more question before we move off the Kraken. Is there any player that, let's say, has not lived up to expectations thus far for Seattle that you're hoping picks it up and helps this team become better than average?
Nothing that really jumps out at me, honestly.
No, just everyone playing.
Everyone's doing their part. It's nothing like, nothing's been like disappointing as heck, like that's what's nice. Wenberg was one guy that I was kind of worried about after the first game, but he really stepped up and he potted a couple points the next game. He looks a lot better than he did. Like I said, maybe it was just nerves off the start. The defense didn't look too amazing. The only thing that really worries me is kind of how fast the defense is, which it isn't. Like past that, like I'm like I don't see any issues going on so far with this team. So that's
I think
relief.
Just a team with room to grow, right? Like
no doubt.
The coach obviously has some room, but just as a team, like just time to gel takes time.
Yep,
that's
for
the
sure.
only thing I can see. I don't think there's any single person who's been like noticeably bad.
Absolutely. Moving on from the Kraken, from our first team to our worst team from last year. Let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres for a bit. First, let's talk about their games. I've been wanting to talk about them. And what I will say about the Buffalo Sabres is actually going to be a compliment, surprisingly. They play really good hockey under Don Granato. I was very impressed watching their games. I was not bored watching the Buffalo Sabres play, which is kind of crazy to say. They played very well. They play a good style of hockey. Now, the issue is the Sabres, and we all know this, they just don't have the talent on the team that other people do. I don't know if Dylan Cousins is necessarily ready for the NHL this year, and that's no slouch. He's 20 years old. I think he's going to be a very good player. But there's a couple guys that, like, you could just tell their skill level is a lot lower than our teams, but they play very good hockey. Chase, did you have anything to note on how well the Sabres play?
Honestly, I do agree. I do agree. Like, they do look pretty decent.
They're playing the right game. is what like they're not. They make mistakes. They're gonna be a bad team. Like we all know this. But they're not out there.
They have pieces.
Yes.
Like this team, like we've said several times, like this is not a shitty team. We don't know what's happened the last 2 years. We really don't. Like, why did this team just not do good at all? It's just, you can say it's Skinner didn't score a goal. The players obviously didn't do anything, but like, what actually is the reason? Like
head coach seemed.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, like you have a Yokoharu, you have a Jacob Bryson. God, he looks good out there.
Yeah, he does. That Bryson Colin Miller line is awesome right now.
Yeah, man.
Loving that line.
What stood out to me is that goaltender, Vejmelka or whatever his name is.
Vejmelka. That was Arizona.
Was that the Zona? Was that the Zona goalie? Yeah, they had some random Czech goalie playing.
Oh, was that the Zona?
Yeah, that was
because
Tokarski
was playing. Got that winning in the shootout all day.
Man.
Like,
it was good too.
That was a great game.
That was a good game. Well, okay. They were bad. It was boring.
It was bad because nobody could get anything done, and it was so much back and forth and stuff like that. But
they would create decent chances, but like they could never finish in the final third to even get a good shot off or a good opportunity. Like. I
remember like 5 minutes of absolutely nothing happened. Like it just went back and forth like from end to end, nobody being able to actually get anything done. It was just turnover once it was into the offensive zone sort of thing. But
and Arizona too, like to kind of piggyback it with, I guess we can kind of group them together, both being in the basement. Arizona are bad unless they're on the rush. They create everything they can score is off the rush, it seems. They can't really hold the puck very well in the offensive zone. They seem to just like panic and lose it a lot. But Buffalo, they're the complete opposite. They aren't the greatest off the rush. They're all right. Olafson looks good. Like, he does look really good. He has one of the hardest shots I've seen. Like, he's
spectacular.
Special. He's a special
love
player.
That guy the last couple of years. Been watching him like a hawk. I've been yelling at these guys playing.
He's
the
real
play.
deal.
Jesus, man.
He's the real deal. He's such a good snapshot. Like the hardest snapshot I think I've ever seen. Like, and they can pass in the zone very well. It's just they're just not a good team yet, and like they're playing the right way.
Just young.
They're young.
Like, it's just young. Like you got great pieces. Like I've said, you got awesome pieces here. Like you can be good. You've got a future and stuff like that. Arizona's in a position where you may have pieces, but like most of these pieces are fairly old when it comes to younger players.
Yeah.
And like, how long are you sticking around? Nick Schmaltz, Keller, and these sort of guys. Are you worth keeping? Because in 3 to 4 or 5 years, when we're actually good, you're going to be 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
Do we need you then? Might as well toss you now. Like, there's too many like this, that, and the other thing with Zona. At least Buffalo, they've been building the team for 3 years. It just nothing works for them.
10 years. They've been building this team for 10 years.
It has been 10
They
years.
haven't made the playoffs in 12 years. Like, I can't end talking about Buffalo without saying something
crazy.
negative. Like, that's bad. This team is bad. But they look better this year. They need to keep Don Granato for an extended time. And I'm talking like 3-4 years, even if they're bad, because they play good hockey under him, and you need to build that type of game. You need to be competitive every night. The second you're not competitive in the regular season, sorry, Chase, just finish this note. The second you're not competitive in the regular season, like even in games, even if you're losing, you need to play meaningful hockey at certain points. That's the only way you get rid of this guy, is if you can't even do that in the regular season. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I like that coach for sure. I think he needs to find a home and stay there for a while, because like
I think he has found it.
Yeah, it's just annoying to see these guys jump back and forth and then hear about guys not having jobs that should have jobs apparently, and it's like, well, that's great.
The Buffalo's ruined by the ownership. Like most of their franchises have been. I'm surprised the Bills are even good right now, frankly. Like, how long has it been since the Bills have been actually competitive?
Yeah, no doubt.
And Buffalo is the same. Like, it's a good sports city. Like, it's awesome there. Like, just have a good team. But back to it. Sorry, they're on the up. They're playing good hockey. They worked Montreal too, which was hilarious. So that's good. Now on to the Also a lighter note about Buffalo. It's also kind of shitty. Some more Jack Eichel news is starting to come out, so just gonna forward it on to you guys. Buffalo are now allowing conditions on the Jack Eichel deal, meaning that there's going to be some form of a condition, probably on a first-round pick, that if he doesn't play X amount of games or if he's not X amount of points or something, they don't have to give up a first or something like that. Something like that will be involved in this trade.
An insane.
Uncertainty.
It'll probably be like 2 or 3 fucking picks that'll be conditions.
Absolutely. Buffalo said they are completely unwilling to retain on Jack Eichel. We kind of figured that. No team wants to do that, but they did come out and say they will not retain. And finally, they have shown some teams, I don't know if it's been his full medical, but at least most of it, the important stuff with it. So that's super huge. And teams are okay with it, I'm hearing. Certain teams are very okay with the surgery he wants. So that's a plus. It's moving in the right direction. Hopefully he's traded within the next month or two. I would think that's the goal from Jack Eichel camp, but hopefully Buffalo will do something because this is just dragging out for far too long. And he needs a new home. It's just the fact that he's not playing in the Olympics is an absolute disgrace. Like he should be there. It should be Canada versus US in the groups, like Jack Eichel and Matthews versus McDavid and Crosby. Like this is the best US team we've seen ever, probably. And he's not even going to be there.
Is he confirmed? Is he for surely not going to be able to be there or what?
It is the slimmest chance possible that he won't be there, and he would have to get traded this week, have the surgery this week, and have a really good rehab to be ready for it. And even then, it's pushing it based on his surgery. His surgery will take 4 months to heal from, I'm pretty sure. Plus, he has to get traded before then and go through stuff with doctors, so who knows how long it'll take to get the surgery on his new team.
I'll take a stab at Americans and say that's because they don't actually care. Doesn't want to play in the Olympics. Doesn't give a fuck.
I think he does. I think he cares. I think certain players care a lot more.
He's getting healthy right now.
He's trying.
He could play. Yeah, no, I don't know. I was just bullshitting, but yeah, that's so sad, man.
Yeah, Jesus. It is. But no, we can move off of Buffalo. Hopefully he's traded soon. That's the last thing I'll say. I want to move it over to the Columbus Blue Jackets quickly too. And talk. They're playing pretty good right now. Patrick Laine looks more motivated than ever this year. No,
I would hope so. Like, my God, man, he's looked unmotivated for his whole career.
For sure. He looks a lot better to me. I don't know if that's just me or because he's scored the past couple games, but
no, it's because he's got Voracek.
Yeah, that's true. Voracek's been awesome for Columbus.
Voracek and Roslovic, like that's a nice those are the type of guys he wants to play with. Those guys are offensive guys, and that's what he likes. And
he could have had that in Winnipeg too, which is the funniest part. Like Blake Wheeler is a elite passer.
Yeah, well,
Jack Roslovic was in Winnipeg.
Yeah, well, if you don't want to play defense and play the role the coach asks you to, then like you're not going to get the first line, and that's what happens.
Absolutely. I'm not saying they should have given him the first line, but it's just funny how the line he wants.
He could have been a 50-goal scorer on that team. Yeah.
Yeah, how he could have been the best. He looks good.
Makes absolutely no sense to me, but maybe he just really wanted out of Winnipeg. You got to assume because like I don't. Like, how could you fail on that team?
Yeah.
Like, especially as him, like all you had to do was be half-ass decent and care about defense slightly, and you would have got easy 40 goals and 30 assists for the last 10 years. Like,
yeah, absolutely. He can still do it too. He's probably got arguably top 5 shots in the NHL, if not better. If not better, frankly. I think he looks really good right now with like Columbus. I think the Blue Jackets are actually looking good. I love this Cole Sillinger right now. I don't want him in the NHL yet because like he's 18 and just wait. Like don't rush this kid and ruin him, please, because he looks really good. I really hope that they send him down in the next couple games and they're just playing him to start the season.
Yeah, give him a taste. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
that
right?
makes sense to me. If they play him for like 8 games and stuff and then send him down, I'll be like, cool, that's awesome. Like they rewarded him for a good training camp because he did have a great training camp. But
there's quite a few guys around the league that look like they might be in that scenario.
Yeah.
It's like awesome to see like Perfetti and some of these guys make the team. It's so awesome. Mason McTavish and stuff. So
McTavish is
I'm sure they're probably not going to play all year because why would they play them all year?
Makes no sense to play them.
They do look good enough, like obviously, but it's like I wish it wasn't 9 games. I wish it was like 20 or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like at least you get to see the guy for sure, and like he'd actually like live through it. Like,
yeah, and like there's no one says
games. We're talking like 2 weeks,
and no one says you couldn't send him down if by 9 games he's not doing it for you. Like by 7 games he's not performing, but they're playing well. Give him more time allowed to play without.
Yeah, exactly. Like how much are you learning in 3 weeks? Like I'm saying, like you almost got to like spread out the games and cut him every second game, just so then he's actually like practicing with you for like 2 months. Like then you really get.
Or
that would be very beneficial. Beneficial, you know. But
there could be a whole bunch of stuff you could do with it. That'd be cool. But same time, I think it's also don't want to see these young guys get hurt. They're not necessarily. They're not physically mature enough. For the NHL, a lot of the times there's very, very few players that come right out of the draft are mature enough, like size wise, and just strong enough to play against men. Like they're playing against 16-year-olds, 20-year-olds at most. And then they're up against like 30-year-old, 250-pound defensemen who like
and you're
break
probably
your ribs cross-checking you once.
Yeah, and you're probably playing on the third line, playing
you're not exactly right. You're gonna be against like the big, strong guys, just the checking lines. Like you're gonna see a lot of players get hurt. Is the issue if you do that? So I understand it, but I know what you mean. I want to see more. But back to
just Columbus. As a GM or a coach or something like that. Like
absolutely.
I'd like to be able to have a guy for longer than 3 weeks and play 8 games or something.
It's even
like I guess you got him all preseason, so like it's a long time to get a good look at the guy. But you do only get 8, 9.
The stupidest rule
seeing him.
Yeah, the stupidest rule in hockey is not allowing people or players to play in the AHL until they're 19. I think you should give exceptional status for certain 18-year-olds like you do in the CHL, where like maybe 10,
I think you should,
15 players who are 18. Yeah, or just like anyone when you're 18.
Like I don't like the 18. Honestly, if they're drafted, I don't want them in the AHL instantly, really, unless
there's some.
I think they should move it. Like how they have it set up, I think they should move it back a year because you can get exceptional status or whatever. Work it with the WHL or whatever to get a guy in the AHL when he's after the year he was drafted or whatever. So like I wish they could kind of pull that back and like everybody the year after you're drafted you're eligible for the AHL. But once you're drafted you could figure something out and get yourself onto that. Or the team can figure something out because exactly like wouldn't it be nice to throw Laffy in the AHL? Last year that would have been cool. You probably would have.
I mean, they also thought he would have been ready as well. A lot of times, first overall picks do make it. Like this year is an anomaly that Owen Power isn't. But like, I just think like the players like Quentin Byfield of last year, him playing the AHL did so much for his growth with having no OHL. I think it was better for certain young guys to play in there. Because you learn how to play a heavier game. And if you aren't ready, you don't make the AHL team. Like, that's how it is. I think they should allow you if you're 18 and good enough. It'll be harder to make. But it's just like in anything. Like, if you're trying to play for a U18 team, and you're like 15, and you're better than 90% of them, you should make the team. Right? I think that's how it should work, in the AHL at least, for sure. Because when some of these kids that are 18, they are on the cusp of NHL players, but they need to get the taste of how the game feels. Or guys from overseas who are ready but need to feel how North American ice feels, stuff like that. I think it's way more beneficial to the players and the team and development if you did that. Moving.
And if I was a GM, I'd be looking a lot over overseas and stuff like that, because those
Yeah.
guys are usually playing in those elite leagues or junior leagues, and you can just bring them over to the AHL the first year you got them, so like, or drafted them, so like the next year after, but still, like, it's just, yeah, man, I'd be going the Europe way like all the time, because I could actually draft them and put them in the AHL and, you know, watch them, know them, you know.
Absolutely. But moving on, let's quickly talk about the New York Rangers, and what's going on there. So for their games, they are 1-0-1, so they lost in a shootout, I believe, to Tampa. And who did they beat? Who did the Rangers beat? I'm blanking.
Who did the Rangers?
The Rangers beat Montreal.
They beat Montreal 3-1, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. So that's what it was. And Lafreniere scored. Now I remember.
Yeah. Hometown goal.
Yeah, so the Rangers. What are you guys' thoughts on the Rangers after the start of the season? Before we get into the Kravtsov stuff.
Chris Kreider looks good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I love Chris Kreider. Like, I love the way he plays.
3 goals already somehow.
Yeah, I don't love his cap hit 6.5 at times, but he's just like a heart and soul guy on that team.
Yeah.
Like
and when
he's so important.
So hot.
Yeah. Sounds like you got a little bit of a crush on him there, Jordan.
Only when he's playing.
But no, they're not bad. I still look at their defense. I'm like, oh, you guys are so young. Like, holy shit, you guys are just not ready yet. Like, I'm nothing against this team except for, like, you guys just aren't ready to be good.
No,
you want to be good.
Young.
Yeah, they want to be good, and they can be, but they're too young. They don't have anyone on that defense other than Trouba, who's like an actual.
Yeah, and like, to me, the acquisitions. And like, the acquisitions of Goudreau and Blade, to me, really, and Reeves, like, to me, they don't really move the needle at all for me.
Not at all.
Like, at all, because like, they lost Howden
maybe in playoffs,
like, Blackwell and stuff like that, and that's just like, well, I like those guys as players almost more, like their futures and stuff like that, than Sammy Blades and especially Ryan Reeves. So like, yeah, like, these guys might help in the playoffs or something.
If you don't
like,
get
which
there,
is like the dream that you want to get to, like the dream. It's not the reality of like, we want to get to the playoffs. It's the hope and dream of it. So I don't know. Tom
Wilson ruined this franchise.
Yeah, hey, they really blew that up, making it seem like there's just going to be 800 fights in that first
after
game.
ragdolling Panarin, and who else did he ragdoll? It was Panarin and like.
Well, I think he was like choking Buchnevich.
Buchnevich, yeah, that's
his head
who it was.
Into the ice.
Yeah, and he like pulled like Panarin off him and threw him down and shit too. Like, yeah. Like, Tom Wilson ruined this franchise because they went out and got Goudreau because of him, Sammy Blais, Ryan Reeves, like you said, and lost Howden. And I mean, they were going to lose Blackwell, I think, regardless. I don't think there's a way you keep him.
No doubt. No doubt.
But
you lost those two guys, and they were key, like, centermen.
They were very important.
I'm looking at your centermans, and I got Kevin Rooney on third line center, and who's Morgan Barron? I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, like, obviously, I think you screwed up real bad. When you, like, I don't know what to tell you, these guys, like, get centerman. I would like almost never get a fucking winger unless I had like 2 extra centermen. Like, there's no way I'd let my center dry up like that. Like,
no, they did for. And it's gonna be hard to keep.
It's gonna be tough to win. Like, they have showed already. Like,
they got some long ass contracts too, by the way. Like, holy shit, this team does not shy away from like big deals.
Fast and fiery, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch these guys.
And then to go off with that, the whole Kravtsov stuff. It's the Rangers are looking to trade Kravtsov after failing to make the team. It sounds like he also wants to trade out, being, well, he didn't make the team, not really given an opportunity, which I think is crazy. But we also came up with some mock trades for that. Do you guys have anything to say before we get into the mock trade for Kravtsov, just about that whole situation? I'll start with you, Jordan.
I mean, it's just, It's a sad situation.
It's a confusing
right?
situation.
You don't want any player in any league to feel like they're not getting the chance that they deserve. So
yeah,
I felt the same way about Evgeny Sveshnikov for a long time, right?
Yeah, and he gets it in Winnipeg, so I guess we'll see. Chase, what are your thoughts on just this whole situation? Because it kind of came out of left field.
Yeah, it did. Hey, one day we were talking about how we were excited to see him play with his team, and the next day,
I think it was literally within a week of our podcast when I was like saying this guy could be really big for the Rangers if he plays a big role, and then the next it's like, hey, he didn't make the team, we want to trade him. It's like, whoa, what the fuck happened over a week?
Yeah, hey, like obviously he's disappointed he didn't make the team or whatever, feels he should have made the team. Usually crap like that just has to do with like one-way contracts half the time or something like that. But no, like this is just one of those disappointing things where like the chances of a deal happening soon is probably not going to happen. Same with it's like the same situation with like Elias Anderson. Like this is weird.
Yeah,
it happened again.
I don't know what's going on with their prospects. I think we talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah, hey, so like I don't know. It's just strange. I don't see much happening. Like especially being such a highly touted, like even more touted almost than Anderson was. But
yeah, way.
It's like the same situation. You're not going to get much for him, and that's just how it is now. And
yeah,
I don't know when you're going to get something for him, but I'll pretend it.
Speaking of maybe not getting much for him, what mock trade did you do with Vasily Kravtsov?
Well, I did a kind of a dumb one that really isn't. I don't know. It's nothing that the Rangers need to do or anything like that. But I did get old Philly Kessel back, Kravtsov for Kessel, and I got a second round pick out of Zona this year as well. And yeah, that was about it. Got him to retain like a wee bit of it, simply because I got the cap room and might as well push a little bit.
Players.
Yeah, and Arizona could definitely use the prospect and play the prospect, that's for sure. Yeah. Which is half the reason why I went that way. I just took Kessel back because I got the room and whatnot, and maybe he'd warm up to the old Ranger land and stick around there or something like that. But it's more for the picks, I guess. Back, you get back what you can. I do have a third round pick also in here in like 2024, so could get a little bit extra if you need it. But yeah, basically just Kessel, a Zona second round pick in 2022, and then maybe you throw in a third round pick in 2024 for the old Krav stuff.
Nice.
And at least you got like a somewhat decent haul. Kessel can bring that extra playmaking ability to the second line, because it is kind of something they kind of do and kind of don't have. Like Kreider's a decent finisher sort of thing, so it's nice to see Laffy, Zibanejad, and Kreider together, or they are going to be switching their lines so much. But I think Kessel could really help balance this out a little bit. Yeah, it's hard to say because they don't really have room for him, but
yeah, that's where I look at Phil Kessel. I'm just like, I don't see him going anywhere. Like I did a mock trade for him too. I'll quickly just rifle it off because it's right there. I traded him to Minnesota for a second round pick. And the only reason I did that is Minnesota's probably going to try and make a playoff push, and they might be able to use the extra scoring, and they have the cap space. It's for 1 year. Who else is really going to take him? So I kind of just threw that together. Kessel no team fits because of his weird salary. He's already has part of his contract retained. So you're only allowed to retain it up to like $4 or $4.5 million. Nobody has cap space anymore. Nobody has an opening if you do have cap space because they're trying to be bad and they don't need him. And he's just a weird player. Like, he's not going to help you defensively. He's probably more of a liability defensively. So he's just going to maybe get you an extra power play goals and maybe a couple more 5-on-5. So it's tough to say with Kessel. But Kravtsov to the Zona, that makes a lot of sense. They could use the prospects. Jordan?
And giving away a second round pick like whoop-de-doo.
Exactly.
6 of them.
For Kravtsov, it makes sense. I don't hate it for the Rangers because like it's kind of like at least you got the second if Kessel doesn't work out. But
yeah, exactly.
So like it's fine. It's nothing like bad. I wonder if Yeah, that's probably fair. Maybe you have to get like do something else weird to help out the Rangers, like in a tiny way, whether that's a contract move or something like that, or
yeah, exactly.
whatever the case is, like just something else to maybe like sweeten the pot for the Rangers to make it worth it.
Yeah, it's hard to make trades with the old Rangers because they have just an excess of everybody. So, like, in all reality, just make a trade. Who cares? You already, you have an access. You got 2-3 defensemen not playing in the NHL, young guys that could be. And,
exactly.
like, I don't know, just say whatever like you are right now, Like, just, like, not playing Julian Gauthier or not playing Kako in the top 6 or something like that. Like, I don't know. Everybody else is getting stuff down. I've got guys that should be playing in the NHL that aren't, like lots of prospects on this team. So it's one of those, like you said, like there's our teams that might have the spot, but like it's really not really, like
it's hard.
Calgary, kind of, right? Like in a sense, they probably could, but could they make the money work? And like, what are they giving you back? And
an
stuff
issue
like
I
that.
was having. Like I looked at Colorado instantly, and I'm like, oh, he could be like dynamite on a third line for Colorado or something. Like just go to score goals. Yeah. But like they have no money, and they can't let money go because they need the players who they're paying.
Like
the cap's just
he's
too
worth
low.
more. To me, he is worth more than Elias Anderson ended up being worth for. Like I think he was just a second round pick or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think Kravtsov can definitely give you a haul a little bit more, but I don't know who's giving you a second round pick. Like I guess does somebody just have an extra second round pick kicking around? Like sure, I'll take that. Is Detroit going to do something like that? Like I guess like you could I guess, but like it seems so unrealistic right now for.
Yeah, it's
like because I don't know what people would actually pay and what would they want to pay.
The market's kind of dried up on buying.
They could sit there and wait like everybody did with Elias Anderson and then be like, "See, he's not that great."
I think they are gonna make him wait. But Jordan, what do you got for a mock trade?
This was a tough one to come up with, definitely
for sure.
It's hard to know his value, but for me, something that I thought that at least that they should look for was a goaltender, a young goaltender. So I called up Tampa Bay, and I am gonna go for Hugo Allenfeld.
Straight
I
up
like that.
Kravtsov.
I was honestly going to
Kravtsov for Hugo Allenfeld.
Yeah, I was going to look at Tampa Bay because in all reality, they could truly use a Kravtsov. Like I love that.
They could. That's tough. Is do you have to add something else with that? Is the question. Like I feel like you got to add a forward who's like, just maybe even just a roster player that would help. I'm not saying this player, but Joseph, like Matthew Joseph, someone like that level. I get he's 24, looks really good, but like, could you do something along those lines with someone like that?
Yeah, for sure.
A Taylor Radish, like if you might have to add something with it.
Even like
this Boris
Colton
guy,
maybe.
Yeah, Ross Colton or something. Like I don't know.
Give up a first round pick. Who knows? I guess
it would be tough. Like
he is expiring though this year, I believe, old Kravtsov. So that throws another little wrench into the old
Tampa. Yeah, they don't have the money. System. They don't have any.
That like if he does good, he'll need to get paid or up.
True. Yeah, and nobody's coming off the books for Tampa. Looking, that's like the biggest issue with it is like money. Because
it'd be a super good acquisition if you could if you could give up like a second and a second or something like that. My God, that would be amazing. I think you could do that and say, whatever, if we actually lose them. At least we didn't spend the first round pick.
Yeah, 2 seconds. Do like your Coleman Goudreau type trade again. Someone else.
Yeah, I guess so. This would be a lot more future-esque. Like you're definitely actually paying for a prospect instead of trying to just get like a guy who can impact super greatly instantly.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested, Jordan, why did you think the Rangers need a goalie?
Not necessarily that they need a goalie, just a young goalie.
Yeah, no, I do like that.
I'm just curious why. I'm not saying
Georgiev's on his way out.
Georgiev is on his way. I just see Shesterkin and Georgiev ahead of him, and I'm like, those are two of the better young goalies in the league. And I get one of them will go, but
I don't know. I'm of the opinion that most teams should have a good goalie prospect because you never really know.
No, absolutely. That's fair. Yeah, exactly. I was just curious, like why.
No, yeah.
Why do that with a trade instead of a draft? Is what.
Like, ask the Red Wings that question. Like, you're 100% right. You should have a good goalie for sure that you feel pretty comfortable with as like an up and coming goalie. Because like as the Red, I can speak for this perfectly. Like the Red Wings have been just a disaster for like 10, 12 years with goaltending. We haven't had anybody. Like, and everybody that we thought we had never turned into anything. So we never felt good about any goaltending for so long. We were stuck with Jimmy. We ended up just having to sign some guys to get by like the last couple of years. So yeah, I do think like, especially if like an Allen Foot and stuff, like if you can get a decent goalie, Dustin Wolf, some of these guys, like at least have good confidence in them being a backup for you, so you don't have to like get two goalies or something to go play for a year.
Shell out a lot for somebody that's good.
Yeah,
really worth it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I was just curious why you thought that.
Yeah,
because not a lot of people would. In that, like I know personally, I would rather take a second round pick or a third round pick and draft a goalie. And hope someone turns out like the Dustin Wolf of it all. And I get they're going in the first round. Some of these spectacular goalies, you can take a lot of flyers for goalies, it seems like, and you might be able to snag one. I don't hate the trade at all. It just was, I wasn't expecting it for a goalie. When you see those two in net, that's the last thing you think of for the Rangers, but it makes sense. Oh, it is a hard trade.
His value is such a question mark right now.
Big time. Yeah, like I look at mine and I genuinely don't know, like, is it too much? Is it not enough? Like, does this even benefit each team?
Yeah.
But I went with it because I thought, who else is a couple actually young players that haven't worked out where they're drafted and because you usually change scenery. The Rangers also said for some reason they want a top 6 forward for him. So I traded Kravtsov to the Bruins for Jake DeBrusk and Jakub Zboril.
I like that.
I went with that because obviously the top 6s make sense. I think Kravtsov could be dynamite under Bruce Cassidy. Like, he's a big body, he's strong, he plays a hard-nosed game, goes in front of the net. Bruins love that shit. And DeBrusk isn't that. He's more of a, I'm going to skate down the wing and snipe it. And I think the Rangers prefer that, funny enough. So I think that might be a good for both. Might give Jake DeBrusk a chance on your top 6. And then Zboril, he needs a change here. He needs the fuck out of Boston big time. And there's not much hope left with him, but there's the slightest bit like, hey, we'll give you last chance type thing to make the NHL in these next couple of years. Like 2-3 years.
Yeah, kind of like Siegenthaler, right?
Yeah, like just kind of, hey, you got to take this opportunity. We believe in you. I think in our team just needs to show a little bit of faith in him. See what he can do. If he can't hack it, he's not going to hack it anywhere, probably. So that's why I added him. Also, they were drafted together in the same, pretty much in a row. So I had to keep them together. So, yeah. What did you guys think of? I think that's all right there for...
I don't know. Chase? I like Zboril quite a bit, so I think it's a little high in my eyes. But I don't know. I guess in a sense, you got to give up. DeBrusk isn't worth too much, but yeah,
interesting.
I don't hate it, but
interesting that you think higher of Zboril. I just think he's had so much opportunity for Boston the past 2-3 years and has not taken any of it really. And he's not necessarily past it. Plus, like, they're late. They're first round picks, both of them, but from like 5 years ago. So, or maybe even longer, hey? It's like, that's a long time.
I think he's just been kind of
pushed. 6 years ago, so.
I think he's just been pushed down by Boston getting like your Mike Riley's and stuff
fair
like
enough.
that.
That's also why you don't feel bad about losing
Jeremy Lowaison and stuff like that, kind of pushing him out now that he's gone. I don't know. Like, this is a big year for Zboril and has to get into the lineup and find a home for himself. That's for sure.
It's gonna be tough. He's already got 7 guys ahead of him.
Yeah, he's definitely not in a great position. Like I said, I'm fine with the deal. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overhyping.
Maybe I add. No, I agree. Like, maybe I add a third for the Rangers instead with it to just sweeten our 4th or something. Like,
yeah, hey,
a 4th round pick, Kravtsov for DeBrusk and Zboril. Like, Zboril will get that chance with the Rangers more likely.
Mm-hmm.
They have a big opening and to take.
Because like swapping DeBrusk for Kravtsov is like a pretty decent win for the Rangers for the next 2 years. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you're instantly getting somebody.
I think I'm mainly
playing
like
some puck, been playing.
Kravtsov's what, 22?
That's pretty.
That's why I'm looking at it like that. Like, he has not even shown like what he's capable of, Kravtsov. So I like that. Just trying to.
I don't.
21. He's 21. Yeah. Like,
I wouldn't change too much
9th
about
overall,
it, really.
21-year-old. He's kind of there. So, no, fair enough.
Like we're saying, it's just so hard to understand the value of a guy like this,
especially with the market how it is now and the people not having space or anything like that. But let's move on. I got, I think, 4 or 5 more teams I want to talk about really quick. So let's move on to the Florida Panthers. And oh boy, everyone was hyped about them in the offseason. They're going to be good, and they came out flying. Yeah, they're good. They're so good. Every line is so fast. Every line is like, fuck. They keep coming. They just keep going. Their defense isn't that bad. Bobrovsky's looked pretty good this year, I will say. He's had a strong start. He's let in a couple, like, it seems like he's letting in a lot of goals. But I think Florida's defense is also just, it's still not great. It's better than it used to be, though, is what I will say. And that's why they're a good team.
Navarra's out right now.
They're not like
said,
there
like,
yet.
The start of the season is just,
there's a lot of goals
defensively. Yep. It takes a while to like really get feeling normal.
That's why
and
I'm
really
not
doing
worried.
Everything you're supposed to be doing. So like, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of goals. That's for sure. And like
that's exactly why I'm not
pretty
worried.
Good.
He's looked good.
He's let in a lot of goals.
It seems like he's letting in a lot.
Goals.
One player I have to shout out on this team, and I called it at the start of the season. I know Jordan and I are high on this guy. Anton Lundell is awesome. He is so good. He's so fast. He is such a pain in the ass when he's on the ice because he will press you and you think you've shooken him off and he's right there again. Like, he's always on your ass. He's such a good penalty killer. I've loved him to the start of the season.
Same.
What are your guys' thoughts on Florida this year, like living up to expectations thus far? Early.
I think they're a team to watch, right? They're one of the hottest teams in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of my prediction of them being first in the league.
I'm not worried either. I think they definitely can be first. They look so good. Ekblad looked good again too. He came back from his injury and looks good.
And Tippett, man.
Tippett looks great. Sam Bennett scoring a hat trick. Like, you love to see it. Who else? Carter Verhaeghe getting 2 goals. Like, those guys that people were like, these are the guys that will screw them cap-wise if they don't do well, are playing well. So, I'm super happy with this team. This team looks so good, and I don't have anything but good things to say at the moment about the Florida Panthers. Anything else from you boys with the Panthers you guys want to shout out?
Just shout out to Oli Ulevi. Watch over him, see how he does with these guys. Well,
absolutely.
He's got the chance, but other than that, no, I'm just excited to watch these guys just be fired all year.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more teams. Let's throw it over to Chase's favorite team, the Detroit Red Wings. To start, Dylan Larkin suspended 1 game for punching Matthew Joseph in the face. I think it's probably fair, but Joseph should have been suspended as well. I thought it was super
Joseph should
funny.
have got a penalty, man. Hey?
Yeah,
like,
at least a penalty for him. I would have suspended him a game for just as a don't fucking do that. Like, this is your warning. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's an attempt to injure. You can't just like straight up just get up and punch a guy in the face. Like if you both look at each other, drop your gloves, and then punch him in the face, apparently it's fine.
Oh, but, I'm talking about Joseph. Even I'm saying like you gotta give him a game even.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like, I do agree with that because like
one anything, each. They were both
the biggest hit that has been a problem for the moment I've played hockey to now. Like that's the hit. That's the one I've been scared of. Yep. That's the one I've seen people fucking like get paralyzed fucking because of this shit. Like I don't know what it is, but when you're within a foot or two, these guys just are like, oh, whatever. Like if you're within a foot of the boards, these guys are like, whatever, we'll give you a push because you're close enough to the boards that the boards will catch you. I'm not pushing you from 3 feet away where you can like dig your head into the board sort of thing.
Still bad,
but like
right?
it doesn't matter, you know, like get that crap out of here. Like
the punch doesn't happen without the push from behind is what I'll say. Like not saying that the punch was okay.
Oh God, no! God, no! Yeah, like
I thought it was funny. I laughed. Like I'm like, you want that heart in your team. Like I think that's a good thing from Detroit. Like I think Detroit fans and their team were like, "Fuck yeah, Larkin."
It was weird that everybody was like,
"That's a lot."
Yeah,
it was like everybody was saying like, "Whoa, why didn't somebody step in?" Dude, he got up and punched him in the face. Like there was no time for anybody.
Oh yeah, nobody had time
and protect Larkin or something like that.
Larkin protected himself.
He fucking got thrown into the boards, almost fucked up his back again.
Yeah, that would be bad if he was.
And just retaliated because like like I've said, this is the same hit we've been talking about for my whole life. Like. Stop letting people get away with this. They went upstairs to talk about this.
We talk about head hitting all the time and how bad it is. We talk about head hitting, how bad it is. This is just as bad. We can't be seeing players getting hurt like this. Like I'm all for big hits in games and like hitting and fighting. I think that stuff's what hockey is, but not when people are in a super vulnerable position to be injured. They have their head down open ice. That's their own fault, but. When they're facing the boards playing a puck, like, come on, just don't hit them from behind.
Yeah, like fucking take a stick. You're right there. Like you're
pin them,
right there.
Pin them against the boards. That's what a lot of people do. It works just as effective if you cross check them, and you won't get a penalty. So it's a win-win. Makes more sense. I get it. You're in the moment. It's really hard to just like certain people just react, and cross checking is such a big part of. Such a big part of the game for how many years. Good thing they're taking it out to wean this stuff out. I think it'll come in hand with the cross-checking a little bit.
There's a difference between being aggressive on the ice and being aggressive on the ice. Like when you're going out for a shift.
Careless too. And like you're carelessly aggressive or aggressive.
Yeah, like you're being... When you can just be too aggressive, like you're just full on. I gotta be aggressive, get some hits, and you just take it a little bit too far. That one step too far, and
take a stride too
in
many.
Those shifts.
Yeah, you have a 5-second relapse.
I'm sure a shift before that, or the shift the game after, or whatever. Hey, like he wasn't playing like that. He wouldn't have done that. He would have pulled off and stole the puck or something like that. But sometimes you're pushed by not only your coach but by yourself to like make some noise out there, get some bodies moving and stuff like that. Especially in that game, like they were getting lit up. We looked so good and all that sort of stuff. And
let's transition.
We woke the beast up because we definitely woke up the beast after that all happened.
Yeah,
Tampa Bay was like, oh, I remember being a kid and bitching about random penalties and fucking this really brought them back to what hockey is because they looked so flat the first game. So
well, let's use that transition you're talking about to talk about how the Red Wings have played. Since you're the fan of the team, you can probably give the most accurate thoughts on how the team's playing. How are you feeling about the Red Wings and their start?
I'm loving the start because it's just way better than like the power play is just mind blowing. I actually expect them to score goals. It's so cool. We're just playing with fire and being like keeping the speed up and stuff like that. Obviously Letty and Seider are very, very key to our success.
How awesome is Moritz Seider?
He's
John Seider, man. I love him.
I am the most jealous hockey fan that he's not my defenseman in the world, because he is awesome. He is going to be the biggest shit disturber in the NHL. He already, when he took the puck away from Hedman, when he took the puck away from Hedman and just skated away, like, I died laughing, because what rookie does that to Norris, arguably best defenseman in the NHL, 6 defenseman Victor Hedman, and he's gonna get under people's skin with just stuff like that. He is Marchand on defense, except for bigger and stronger. And I love it. I'm all for it. I think this guy's gonna be so good.
Yeah, no, he's like an actual defenseman. The defenseman you dream of, a big guy that's smart enough and has enough playmaking ability.
Knows how to push the right guy's buttons on offense.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about with him is how he is a prick kind of on the ice and how that could end up.
I don't think I'm as worried
maybe
nowadays.
The first little bit, but like
I'm not as worried.
He's young.
Because the game is different now. We don't have like fighters in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
What Ryan Reeves is probably the only one you would say is a true fighter.
Yeah, like the cheap shot guys are out of the league.
They're
more
out
or less,
of the league.
Unless you're like I said,
unless you believe Tom Wilson,
like Joseph did or something, and you just kind of it gets away from you, and that's just how she goes.
It's not as much in the game, so I don't think you're gonna see a big guy come in just rock him. Like it's a different game. There's less hits, a lot smaller guys. I think he's gonna be fine with it. But no, I've liked how Detroit's played. They are playing exactly how you expect them. A better hockey team than last year, but are probably going to be a bottom 5 team because the league is so good. Maybe actually they might not be a bottom 5 team if some of these teams we expect to be good keep playing bad as they do. You never know. Moving on, let's talk about Jordan's favorite team, the Capitals. Jordan, how would you lay down your team's play thus far to the start of the season?
I'm pretty happy so far. Obviously, we thrashed the Rangers, and we talked about that last week.
Yep.
And more recently, we played Tampa Bay. We got a point. We lost in overtime, but as I've said before, we unfortunately had to play against Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Who is undoubtedly the best in the NHL.
Yeah, he is. He is beatable. I do want to point that out.
For sure.
First game of the season, Pittsburgh put 6 in past them, but no, I'm just shitting on you. No, Washington, I agree. I think they're going to be a very good team again. OV scores. He had another goal in that game against Tampa. Like you said, you guys played Vasilevsky where he didn't let in 6 goals. So it's going to be tough. Tampa seems to be finding their footing a little bit more too. Like they had a slow first 3 games. And they're really finding it.
Again, for his second game, I was very, very happy with Hendrix Lapierre.
Yeah, so do you keep him on the team all year? Does he?
Know. At this rate, yes. But at the same time, I understand if they were to toss him.
It's just with Backstrom coming back, it will be the detriment.
Right?
And if he's not lighting it up,
the obvious health worries of Lapierre, you don't want to rush him. He's somebody that you need to be a little extra cautious with.
Yeah.
But while he's playing good, I absolutely think keep giving him chances.
Absolutely.
Like, I hate to say it, but I'd almost like them to trade Eller and force these guys in there.
Yeah, that's tough. I wonder if that's like a next year discussion for Eller. Like, maybe not yet this year, because you don't want to just like throw this 19-year-old who's had a good start. Like, hey, you're your third line guy. Like,
well, it also depends what the Kuzi future is. Like that's probably
true. That's true.
Like, do you do that sort of thing with Eller, and then you end up
maybe
losing
you keep
Kuzi or trading Kuzi in a year or two, and then all of a sudden you have McMichael.
Maybe you don't worry about Eller. And you worry about the whole Kuzi. Maybe you just keep Eller till his contract's out. It's only 2 years. He's going to be good enough to play third line center for 2 more years. And then you just get, like, this year you keep Kuzi, and next year you let him go, and then either Lapierre or McMichael take that second line center. if they're ready.
Mhm.
I mean, you never know.
I also like for once what they've like. It's been a while since they've had 3 real nice lines. Like even with Backstrom out, just having the balance, like Oshie playing with Lapierre on a third line, like it looks so balanced, and I just like how the team's playing. It's so fast and whatnot that like.
It looks good.
I think it's not a bad idea to kind of make a trade for the future sort of thing and let these guys kind of go nuts. But yeah, maybe you wait a year and then do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to be safe, right?
Just because we're getting a little long on time here, you skip to the next team. Washington, obviously, like we said, looking good. So I'm going to slip to Pittsburgh, quickly talk about them because I watched all their games, unsurprisingly. So first we played Florida. We lost in overtime. We played very well considering. Brian Rust is injured again. That's gay. That sucks. That really, really sucks. Out for a couple weeks is what I'm hearing. Crosby should be coming back this week, though. That's good. Dan Heinen is looking pretty dope. I'm quite impressed.
Scoring in general has been a big boom for.
We're so good, like depth scoring wise. It's so good. I'm super happy about that. We absolutely worked Chicago and ran Marc-Andre Fleury, which was kind of fun. So that's nice. Pittsburgh playing really well with these injuries. I mean, I still can't believe people are betting against Mike Sullivan. Also, that Mike Sullivan becomes the winningest head coach in Pittsburgh Penguins history with 253 games won. Yeah, they're playing so good. I'm so happy with my team and how they're doing. Do you guys have anything on Pittsburgh that... John Marino. I want to single him out quick. He is looking a lot more like his rookie season than last year. So if he keeps that up, I'm super happy and not worried about our defense whatsoever.
No doubt, hey.
He's starting to shape into our X factor right now. If he can be like elite, I think this team will be very, very good and competitive. But yeah. Anything else on Pittsburgh for you boys? Chase, I'll throw it to you.
No, man, no. Just
cool.
Like you said, like Marino is like one of my favorite guys. It's nice to see him. Sick. It's one of the things that I thought was really key for this team was getting these D-men going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Especially off the bat with the
forwards
and whatnot.
And Matheson's out right now too, so he's not even playing. Patterson's playing all right. Blueger's playing good. But before we finish this podcast off, we got one big extension signed, so we'll quickly break that down. Charlie McAvoy signs an 8-year, $76 million extension with the Boston Bruins. That's a fuckload of money. He's making $9.5 million AAV. What are your guys' thoughts on the Charlie McAvoy contract? I'll throw it over to you first, Jordan.
I'm big on McAvoy, so I think this is a great contract. I think in a couple of years, this could be looked at as one of the better contracts for superstar defensemen.
Yeah. Based off of the defenseman market, I'm not surprised whatsoever. Yeah, I'm more surprised Boston paid him because it's Boston. This is the highest contract in their history.
No doubt, man.
Like, they never pay anyone over $7 million. Like... Yeah, like they don't give them, they don't give people term, and they don't give people unless they've been there for 10 years.
Unless your name is Patrice Bergeron.
And Marsh, yeah. So like they just don't
pay. This is like the first time I was so because I was like, yeah, he's definitely gonna get like a Boston contract, you know?
Like 8. Sure. I thought he might get 8 for 8 because of like or 7.5 maybe, just because for like 4 years because that's how Boston are, but no, they actually paid him what he's worth. I think it's way too much to me, but like I don't know. It seems like a lot, but because this is the norm for the top defenseman, it's a little. But I think he could be like Victor Hedman-esque. Maybe not the best scorer, but he is going to be like probably the most reliable defenseman in the NHL potentially. Yeah, defensively at least.
Jump up, he's quick to get back.
He's so reliable in his own end. He's the guy you win championships with. He's the type of defenseman, right? The Chris Prongers that are very much like
exactly. The guys that get their names remembered.
Yeah, so that's what I like. Plus he's right-handed. Like that's awesome. That's so valuable. The fact that he's
Seth Jones got paid for that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's that bad. Not too fussed. The cap's going up. I'm hearing like 10 million in the next 5 years at least, which is a fairly big jump considering. So hopefully for their sake it happens as well. Do you guys have anything else on Charlie McAvoy in this big extension?
No, I mean, just well deserved.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, like he's super awesome, but you guys know how I feel about just giving anybody $10 million. So for
sure.
No, I love him. Can't wait to. I wonder how they're gonna work this contract because they've got some issues.
Yeah, they do have some coming up. But anyways, that's been this week's edition of the podcast.
I've got one thing.
You got one more?
Before we wrap it up, something has just come out. Big news.
Oh God.
Evander Kane has been suspended 21 games by the league for violating COVID protocol.
Holy crap. Okay, so we might as well talk about this. I have this in my notes, but I wasn't going to talk about it. We might as well finish it really quick while you have it. Evander Kane not on the Sharks opening night roster. I had this for last week, so we ran out of time. Pending an investigation on a fake COVID passport. This is hilarious. I think that's so funny that he made a fake passport because, like, the guy who needed to stay away from the media the most this summer was Evander Kane in hockey. I've never seen a player pull the headlines like him in one offseason. Like, it's insane. It sucks, don't get me wrong, and like he's gonna get royally fucked by the system and everything, like by the NHL. I don't know what's gonna happen legally. I don't even know what the laws are on that.
Yeah, he could get fucked by the justice system.
Yeah, he's already like had other investigations. Man,
already not going well. Hey, losing money, going bankrupt, and then doing this. To, like, you're gonna be on the streets next year.
Yeah, like I feel bad for like laughing, but like at this point, it's kind of funny. Like I feel for the guy.
Yeah,
but
you can't go a week without
but like it's his fault. Like you can't be like
that's the thing.
This guy had a hard run of life. But like when there's smoke, there's fire. Like I'm not saying that he definitely it's his fault and he made but like. He's had 4 different chances this summer.
Yeah, like I gave him a big second chance after
this summer,
a couple years ago. And,
that
I gave him like a couple of years ago, like even. Yeah, like I gave him a good second chance there, but like holy shit, like the guy just walks around and shoots himself in the foot. Like fucking, you deserve to be talked about like this now. Like that's what you deserve. Like sorry, man. Like,
no kidding.
What's going on?
What a gifted hockey player, though. Like he really is. But just like a menace to the league and anything that comes with like bringing good press. No wonder the Sharks players want him gone. So you said 21 games, Jordan, he's out for?
Yeah. 21.
Well, at least they get 21 games without Evander Kane. I guess they've already played 2, so 23 games they'll get. So that's nice. Good news for Sharks fans.
Save some money, hey? That's
save some money. Yeah, good for their owner, especially now they can afford to buy out Pickle, Harrelson, and Burns. Waiting for that to happen now with the Evander Kane money not being an issue. But anyways, that's been this week's podcast. We're doing, as you can't tell, this is out on a Tuesday. We're doing 2 a week now just to catch up with more news. So stay tuned for Tuesdays and Fridays. Go follow our social medias on Twitter, Instagram. Our YouTube page is also live. We're going to come up with videos on there soon. We've been just trying to get this going with the 2 podcasts a week, and then we'll get the videos going. But for now, have a good one. Enjoy the hockey for the rest of the next couple days. We'll catch you on Friday. Bye, guys.